Okay, so I am here to finally give, well, I guess not finally, but I'm here to give my review of Supergirl. I just watched the movie a couple of hours ago. I just saw it, and I wanted to give my thoughts and opinions on the movie, give what I'm thinking about it, especially after just getting out of the theaters and everything, what I'm thinking and everything. And so yeah, this is gonna be a review for Supergirl. I do plan on talking about spoilers for this movie, so if you haven't seen the movie, I'm gonna be talking. I'm gonna be talking about spoilers. So if you haven't seen the movie, I guess I will be like, there will be like a little spoiler, I guess, like spoiler free section at first. But then like the majority of this video is going to be talking about spoilers. So I'll let once I start actually talking about things that happen in the movie, I'll let you fellow viewers know. And so yeah, going into this movie, or I guess Supergirl just in general, it was very interesting because I feel like I don't know, I feel like this movie in particular didn't really have a strong, I guess, lead up. I guess, like, especially last year, I feel like with Superman, like if you remember last year with Superman, that movie, and it might have been primarily because it was like the first DCU theatrical film, and so just that alone made it very, I guess, anticipated. And also it's Superman, and we hadn't gotten a Superman movie in what, like 10 plus years or anything like that, and so a lot of pressure was on that movie to be really good, and it delivered on being really good. And so I feel like there was a lot of excitement, anticipation for Superman. And I feel like with Supergirl, it wasn't necessarily the same. Mainly because, I mean, Supergirl is just, I feel like, even though she's tied to Superman, she's not as like a well-known character as Superman. I'm pretty sure like the only other theatrical Supergirl movie was like back in like the 90s or something like that, and it was like not very good apparently. And so that, and like also, like I said, like just the DCU as a whole, like this is like, I mean, last year was like the first year, and I'm pretty sure, and I would say pretty like much the first year of the DCU felt pretty good. Like we had Superman, we had Creature Commandos, which I thought was good. We had what else came out? Peacemaker. We also had Peacemaker, but all those projects were done by James Gunn. And so this year was finally, I feel like, going to be, or was it was going to be the test to see if the DCU could thrive and be just as interesting, I guess, without James Bunn, like what? James Gunn leading the helm on like any of these projects, obviously, or being the director or like whatever. And so coming out of this movie, I don't think this movie, because I haven't seen reviews for this movie. That's like one thing that I'm trying not to do when it comes to like reviewing movies or like whatever I'm reviewing. Like I don't want to like know other people's opinions on it until I give my opinion on it. And so like I try not to watch other people's reviews. I might see like something on Twitter that says, oh, I didn't like the movie, but like I don't know like why they didn't like the movie, or the movie might get like a certain Rotten Tomato score, which I remember, like I think it was like a couple of days later, I was on just social media, and I just saw I think it was like at first, like the Supergirl like Rotten Tomatoes score, I think like the critic score was like at a 59%, and I was like, oh no, that's not very good. But obviously I didn't know why it was like that low. And so, and it seemed like some people like were not liking this movie, and so I was like, dang, it's like I'm very interested to see if this movie is as bad as people are saying, or if it's just not really good. And so coming out of Supergirl, I gotta say, I don't think this movie is necessarily bad. I think it has flaws, and we're gonna talk about that in a little bit. But I think this movie overall is fine. I liked it for the most part. I think there was some things that felt very incoherent and weird at sometimes, and just, I don't know, comparing this to Superman, I will say, like, just for like a first initial watch, I did enjoy Superman more than this movie. And I enjoyed Millie Alcock as Supergirl. I thought she was good. I thought she did a pretty good job at like portraying like a, obviously Superman is the very kind, hopeful, you know, superhero and everything like that, and Supergirl is kind of she's basically the opposite. Like, she doesn't really care to, like, I guess, be a superhero or save people or like whatever. And even though, like, I feel like for most of the movie, I don't know, they kind of do the thing to where, like, she at the beginning of the movie, like, she's the type of person who, like, doesn't care, or she acts like she doesn't care, but it's obvious that, like, she actually does care. So there is that trope a little bit, but it's like, it's not necessarily a bad trope. But I thought overall Millie Alcock did a pretty good job, and I thought they did a pretty good job of just like portraying just how different she is from Superman, just because of like the circumstances and like the way that she was brought up and everything. And so yeah, and I think everyone did a pretty good job acting wise. You also have I forget, Ruth A, I believe her name is, the kid, the young girl, the little kid in this movie that's joining Supergirl on her mission or like whatever. I thought her character was fine, and there are some things that I want to like get into, I guess, but like that's gonna be later on in the review when I'm like spoiling stuff in like the spoiler section. But I thought her character and Supergirl, I thought their interactions were fine. Like, I like their interactions together, but I feel like there are definitely some story points and moments where like they don't, like, her character and Supergirl's character don't really add up for me, and like it kind of just like, I don't know, not necessarily ruins the movie, but it's definitely like a fatal, it's like, it's a flaw that I noticed. But I thought her character was fine. Getting to Jason Momoa as Lobo, I feel like that was definitely one of the main things about this movie that was like, I don't know, one of the main drawing points is like, you know, Jason Momoa as Lobo. When Jason Momoa was cast as Lobo, everyone was saying that like he's the perfect Lobo, like he should have been Lobo all along and everything. And I gotta say, I liked Lobo in this movie. I feel like his character, like, I liked his character. I liked the scenes like with him in this movie, but I do feel like if you took Lobo out of this movie, the movie's still the same, really. Like, there's nothing like he really does like story wise, and that makes sense. I didn't think his character was going to be a major point in the story or anything like that, but I did think his character served as like maybe like a good comedic relief a little bit, or also just like some cool action scenes with him on the motorcycle and everything. I thought those scenes were cool. But other than that, like, I thought his character, like, if you take his character out of the movie, it doesn't really change anything. But like I said, he's still like a cool addition to the movie. Talking about the main villain in this movie, I think his name is Krem, and he's the character that, and they talk about it in the trailer, so it's not necessarily a spoiler or anything like that. That his character is, or his character ends up poisoning Crypto, and that's basically the starting or jumping off point for the adventure that Supergirl and Ruth A go on. It's like Krem, he shoots something at Crypto, and you got Supergirl has 3 days to save him or get like the antidote or like whatever from him. And so I thought I don't know, in terms of like villains go, like, I thought it was fine. I thought he was fine. You know, comparing him to, like, if you want to compare, like, DCU villains, or I guess, like, maybe, like, movie DCU villains. I mean, we only have Superman to go off of, and, like, in that movie, we had Lex Luthor, and obviously Lex Luthor, I thought, was a way better villain than Krem. Krem was cool. I mean, I thought some of the scenes with him were fine. It's just, like, he didn't really necessarily do anything for me interesting or like different. Like, he's pretty, like, he's just evil. Like, he's just an a-hole. And so that's really all that's to his character, I guess. And in terms of the actual story, this is where we get into actual spoilers for the movie. So if you haven't seen Supergirl, I guess I would probably click off the video now. But if you have seen Supergirl, you can go ahead and stick around. But talking about, I guess, spoilers, or like the things that I want to get into that I can't get into without spoiling the movie. Talking about the story, right? Obviously, I talked about how Crypto is like the main like thing that the freaking Supergirl's she's gotta get the antidote from Krem and his space pirates. I call them space pirates. I don't know if they're actually space pirates, but they seem like space pirates. I don't know. But she's gotta get the antidote, and Ruth A's character is I'm pretty sure they don't start off the movie with Ruth A's character, but like really early on they established that like Ruth A, and they say it in the trailer, that her parents get killed by Krem, and so she goes basically on like this revenge mission or plot, or like revenge plot, or like whatever. She wants to kill Krem, and there were a lot of like moments in this movie where like I was like asking myself like, okay, Ruth A wants revenge, and there are moments where like she's talking about how like she wants revenge against Krem and she's gonna kill Krem and like all these things, but like Supergirl is always telling her that, oh no, you don't want to, like, revenge is bad, like revenge, like you don't want to do that, that's not, it's gonna change you as a person, or like whatever. She keeps talking about that like throughout the whole entire movie when Ruth A brings up the fact that she wants to kill Krem. And I thought it was kind of weird because there is no point in this, there's no like point in the movie where I guess Supergirl, like her character, I feel like doesn't really necessarily make sense with Ruth A's character, because Supergirl throughout the movie, obviously she's like, I guess, I mean, she's depressed obviously, and I guess she has like some sort of like PTSD from the fact that like her parents got killed and Krypton was destroyed and everything like that. And so for her, I didn't really necessarily see how that like matched up with the fact that like Ruth A wanted revenge. Like, why does Supergirl care that much? It's not like her parents were like, I guess, killed by some random dude and she wanted revenge at one point in her life, or like whatever. And so that didn't really necessarily add up, especially with the ending of the movie. Yeah, I just feel like those two points didn't really like match up. Talking about Krypton, we actually get to see Krypton in this movie. We didn't get to see Krypton in Superman, but we actually got to see Krypton in Supergirl. And seeing Krypton was cool. You know, it looked like a version of Krypton. Seeing it get destroyed, you know, was, I don't want to say cool, I guess, but like it definitely was interesting to see the DCU'S, I guess, take on Krypton or like whatever. And I gotta say, like, this is another like, I guess, problem that I noticed, or like flaw that I noticed, is that like, especially after watching Superman, in the way that they portrayed Superman's parents and everything, and how his parents like were revealed to be like people who wanted Clark to like conquer Earth and like take all these people or enslave all these people or like whatever. And they basically like they basically made it to where like Superman's parents seemed like they were kind of bad people in a way, or like evil or in some sense, I don't know. But in this movie, it kind of seems like the opposite a little bit. Or not with Clark's parents, but like specifically with Kara's parents. There were like moments in this movie where like they're talking to Kara, or the parents or the dad or like the mom is talking to Kara, and like they're telling her to like, oh, be a good person, like always remember to do the right thing and all these things, and basically telling her these things to like, I don't know, like when she gets to Earth or like whatever, make sure that you're a good person or like whatever. And I feel like that was kind of like weird, because it's definitely in contrast to what to what Superman's parents were telling him to do when he got to Earth, and like they were telling him to enslave Earth and take all these wives and like whatever. And so I feel like that's definitely, I don't want to say I would say maybe a plot hole, because like why were Superman's parents so evil, but then Kara's parents actually very nice? Like whatever, I don't know, but maybe I'm I missed something, or like maybe I don't know, but like that felt weird. Okay, talking about the actual, I guess, like look of the movie, I thought because this is the thing that I was like, I guess one of my concerns for the movie was that it would look too much like, I guess, or feel too much like Guardians of the Galaxy, especially with like some of the promotional images and just like, I don't know, just kind of like the way that like this movie looked. Because you had some promotional images with like Kara, and she had the freaking Walkman with the headphones, and it kind of felt like Star-Lord a little bit. And also this movie just has like, I mean, it's in space and it has a sci-fi feel, and so it's kind of, there is, I guess, some similarities of like, you know, Guardians of the Galaxy just in general. But I will say that this movie definitely didn't feel like Guardians of the Galaxy, even though like they use, like, there are some moments where like they use like 90s music, or like, you know, 80s music sometimes to like capture a moment or a scene or like whatever. This movie definitely doesn't feel like Guardians of the Galaxy. I would even say that, like, to me at least, there were, I don't know, some of the some of the alien planets, or some of the places that they go to in this movie felt kind of dull to me, or like some of the locations felt very dull and kind of not very that interesting, I guess. And that was like one of my main concerns, because like if you look at the Supergirl Women of Tomorrow comic book that this is based off, just looking at some of the comic panels from that comic just looks so colorful and so like vibrant and so like with like everything. And so like coming into this movie and seeing like some, and that's not to say that like, even though like I feel like there is some like, just the way this movie looks sometimes can be kind of bland, there still were like cool like alien, some of the aliens in this movie I thought looked cool, or some of like just like the costume designs that they had for the different aliens I thought were cool. And so that was, I mean, they had like practical like costumes and stuff like that, and different looking aliens and everything. And so that I thought was interesting. But overall, I didn't necessarily dislike how the movie looked. I just thought like it kind of at some parts looked like just like another generic sci-fi galaxy movie or like whatever. And I felt like they could have done some more interesting things with like maybe some of the planets that they went on. But I don't know, that's just me. Thought the action was cool. So obviously, like I said, some of the fight scenes with Lobo and Supergirl I thought was cool. The ending fight scene with Lobo and Supergirl, or I guess Supergirl versus like Krem and his like space pirates, I thought were cool. I think one of the ending, or like I guess like the climax or the ending of the movie, where like Ruth is being surrounded by pirates and like Supergirl has to come and save her. I thought that was cool. I thought the fight on like the space bus with the thing where like that's another thing that I wanted to mention, like that scene of Supergirl on like the space bus, and her like finally getting her powers, and us showing us like how powerful she really is as Supergirl with the yellow sun and everything. I thought that was cool. I thought the fact that because I didn't really think about it until like, I guess like afterwards, but Supergirl never wears her Supergirl costume in this movie until the ending of the movie. And I guess I guess the main reason that they do that is because she doesn't necessarily, she thinks the costume is stupid and she doesn't want to wear it, but like I guess she, you know, finally embraces it after, you know, the stuff that she goes through with like Ruth and everything, and I guess finally her reason to be a superhero in the first place. But I do also think the ending scene that they have, there's another scene at the end where Krem is finally defeated and everything, and Supergirl or I guess Ruth has Krem, and she's about to kill him, and Supergirl is like, no, don't kill Krem, you don't want to become I don't know, depressed, and like, or killing Krem won't like solve your problems. And like I said, like that that fact, or that her saying that, like I said, didn't really make sense to me, because literally after she says all that, I mean, she gets Ruthie to not kill Krem or like whatever, she ends up killing Krem herself. And so that felt weird. Or I don't know, maybe it was like she didn't want Ruthie to become a killer, or like whatever, but like she herself doesn't care. I don't know. And so yeah, so I think overall, I like this movie, but like I definitely didn't love it. I didn't think it was necessarily terrible either. I thought it was just okay. There were some cool moments, like I said, with like Supergirl, and I mean the scenes with Lobo were cool. I think the story at times I thought was good, but like I think overall it was kind of like a weak story in my opinion. Krem as the main villain, I thought he was alright. I mean, seeing Superman like in this movie I thought was cool. Like I feel like we saw more of Superman than I thought we were going to see. But seeing Superman, just in general, or seeing David Cornswet as Superman is pretty cool. And so overall I thought this movie was fine. Did I think it was terrible? No, but like I do think as like the second DCU film, it definitely felt I don't know, it felt weaker than Superman, last year. And so I think overall I would probably give Supergirl like a 6 out of 10, maybe a 6.5 out of 10. But overall I thought the movie was fine, but it just felt off in some places, maybe some flaws in my opinion, and some plot holes. But yeah, so I mean, like, what does this necessarily mean for the future of the DCU? Because you had a lot of people online not really liking this movie. Like I said, I haven't seen any reviews for this movie, so I don't know if like some of the things some of the things that I said in this review are some of the same things that other people are saying. I don't know, probably not. Probably not, but like it's gonna be interesting to see after this movie, because yeah, I mean, it seems like a lot of people did not enjoy this movie as much as like they did like Superman last year. So what does that mean for the DCU? Does that mean the DCU is like over, like whatever? I don't know. I wouldn't say that. And I feel like this is to be kind of expected, and not to say that like, I don't want to say expected, but like, I guess not every movie can be a masterpiece or like whatever, but like at the same time, this is like the second film in the DCU, or yes, second theatrical film in the DCU. And so the fact that like this movie did disappoint some people, or maybe like a lot of people, is not good. And like also the fact that like this is also like a lesser known character, like even though like I said she is tied to Superman is just a more recognizable character just in general. And like you're just gonna have to get you were going to have to get more people on board with the idea of Supergirl and like that character and everything. And I think they did an okay job with it. I think, like I said, there were some things they probably could have improved, and some things that didn't really make sense to me. But I still think that like, I don't know, because we still have Lanterns coming out, we still have Clayface coming out, and those look definitely still interesting to me. I mean, especially the Clayface movie, that just seems so like different and unique from anything that we've seen from like a superhero movie, or DC movie at least. And so yeah, I mean I hope those projects are actually good. But yeah, I mean, and then I mean we do have Man of Tomorrow, which is coming out next year, and so hopefully that's good. I'm expecting that to be good. And so yeah, man, I don't know, we're just gonna have to see. But overall, I liked Supergirl, but I did not love Supergirl, but I also didn't think it was necessarily terrible either. So those are my thoughts on Supergirl, just in general. And so leave down in the comment sections below, did you enjoy Supergirl? Did you love the film? Did you not like the film? Did you think it was bad? Did you think it was terrible? Leave all your thoughts and opinions down in the comment sections below. And yeah, man, I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here, and I will see you guys on the next one. So yeah, bye.